Follie, the big beautiful Warframe, and I think I'm maining her now. First is a mobility skill. It teleports you and makes you invulnerable for 3.5 seconds. This duration cannot be modified. It can be used as an alternative to shield gating. The second ability is a gimmick. With this ability you can create different objects which are useful both for defending and damaging. Third is a defense ability. It creates a field that decreases any incoming damage up to 90% for allies and up to 50% for objectives. The range and damage reduction are growing with kills. The last one controls mobs and decreases their defenses such as armor or shields. It becomes useful on Steel Path and higher levels to counter bullet sponges. The most optimal stun for Follie is 200%. At this point her fourth ability would fully strip enemy armor, and the third ability would provide the maximum damage reduction. Other abilities do not rely on this stat except the infused roar, but actually I don't see any sense in modding it higher than 200%, like you literally can double shot one of the most powerful enemies in the game. I came up with two playstyles for static and mobile missions. The static build. This build revolves around spawning static items to protect your target, defense capsule to distract enemies from a main objective, death orb to inflict radiation procs to make enemies fight with each other, and by the way this item deals really good damage. The next item is an arc trap to damage and stun enemies. This combination will literally do the most of the job in defending any target. In the spare time you can spawn barrels to damage enemies, or you can even create supportive items like lock surge, ammo, or mission things like capsules for survival. Besides this skill you might wanna use the third one. It also protects objectives, but damage reduction is kept at 50%. The main stat for this playstyle is duration. You may ask, why? The main idea is to minimize the gap between ability durations and the cooldowns. And in some cases you might want to leave objectives in missions like excavations, and the longer they can stay without you, the better it will be. The final build looks like this. You may swap Prime Sure-Footed with Handspring, Cunning Drift, or Speed Drift. As you might notice, I didn't use any survival skills, as she doesn't really need them, but you can substitute an aggro secret with adaptation or rolling guard. Her passive generates a lot of orbs, so you actually don't need any energy mods except equilibrium. Helmet. The first ability is useless for this playstyle, so you may replace it with something more useful, for example with Nourish. The Agile build. This build is meant to be used on missions like Disruptions. Casting speed is needed to make animation of the first skill shorter, as you can't modify the duration of invulnerability. The idea is to spam this ability to be immortal, and strength is needed for just look at this. Yeah, that's the Steel Path. In this build we will focus on maximizing strength and keeping the rest of the stats at above average level. Helmet. In this playstyle we should move as much as possible, so the third skill becomes useless due to its static nature. I highly recommend to infuse Roar instead of this ability, to be able to one-shot most of the enemies. Subsumes. Roar is overall better cause it boosts your summons, but defense and agile builds require different abilities to subsume or, and Helmet can't infuse one ability in different slots, unless you have two Warframes, so you have to find a compromise, if you wanna have both agile and defensive builds. I prefer to use Nourish for defense and Roar for attack. Why? Follie actually has pretty solid base damage, and in defense you have possibility to spam your damaging structures, which will obliterate most of enemies. In mobile missions like Disruptions, you will meet tougher enemies like Demolists, and you won't have much time to deal damage, so Roar will help you. Archon shards. For Archon shards I would recommend you to put 2 yellow for casting speed, as they will boost first and second skills. The rest of shards are optional. I put duration once to make cooldowns less painful. Conclusion. This Warframe turned out to be really versatile and powerful, especially on endless game mods like Defense, Disruption, Survival or Excavations. I would definitely use her in daily runs, especially for Disruptions.